The name of the film coming out next year, Wait Till It's Free. And he has not only crisscrossed America asking questions about it, but he's even talked to folks in Europe about what we can anticipate happening here in America in terms of socialized medicine. Then at 9 o'clock, a gubernatorial candidate right here in the Lone Star State. She's conservative. She's black. She's pro-life. She's pro-Second Amendment. You'll want to stay tuned for that. At 10 p.m., I bet the government school you went to as a kid didn't tell you the full truth about Thanksgiving. We weren't thanking the Native Americans, the Indians. We were thanking God, and Bill Potter will put it all into perspective, a historian from American History Guild. And in the 11 o'clock hour, Stephanie Cohn, a young 30-year-old author of a new children's book out from Comfort, Texas, called Grandma's Moving In, about how, as adult children, we can communicate the values of including our senior citizen parents to our own children. My guest by telephone line here in Waco, Texas now, Colin Gunn. The film is called Wait Till It's Free. It'll be coming out next year. You can learn more at WTIFree.com. Colin, a delight to welcome you to the airwaves.
It's always good to talk to you, Adam. Thank you for having me on.
Well, President Obama's approval rating is at 37%, according to Jay Leno, the lowest point of his presidency. Here's how bad it is. You know the Thanksgiving turkey he's pardoning this week? Well, the turkey said, no pictures. It did not want to be seen with the president. I mean, it's getting pretty bad. They are now saying, Colin, that this Saturday, November 30th, is the new hard deadline for when Americans, Texans, will be able to log on and sign up for Obamacare. I think they're raising expectations perhaps once again too high, only to be dashed by what appears to be inevitable failure.
Well, why would we have any expectations about government delivering on something that it's promised? And, of course, a lot of people have banked on the government being able to fix this problem, and we have a significant problem in America. No one denies that in relation to health care, and it needs fixing. But, of course, the government can't fix it. It's making it much worse, and it's so obvious. Even people on the left are agreeing with us conservatives now that the government can't fix this problem, and the website and the people losing their coverage and all of the rest of it goes to show the basic premise of our film, Wait Till It's Free, and that government is actually creating the problem within the healthcare market, and Obamacare is just doubling down on all of the bad ideas that were already in place. You know, the VA, the Indian Health Service, and all the local, state programs, all together, we already had a semi-socialist system. In fact, America is much worse in the sense that we have a huge amount of crony capitalism where private agencies get benefit from the public funds. So, the pharmaceutical industries and other industries benefit from the public purse. So we're looking at a significant problem. Of course, Obama can't fix it. He's trying the best that he knows how. And, of course, how do governments deal with things? Well, the only tool they really have is force. And, therefore they have the mandates that they've delivered and the compulsory purchase of insurance on individuals. And so this is the way they deal with things. And, of course, it'll never help. And the unintended consequence is people lose their health insurance and they lose the little coverage that they may have.
Well, and here's the latest. The Obama administration, according to Politico.com, today announced a one-year delay of online enrollment for small businesses looking to purchase health coverage through the federal Obamacare exchanges. The White House trying to get the troubled enrollment website on track for individuals and families seeking coverage says that this Saturday, November 30th, it's their target date for getting healthcare.gov working for the, quote, vast majority of users. I am curious as to how he can kind of, almost by executive fiat, declare when a specific part of a bill that's already become law, when a specific part of a law will and will not be applicable. It's supposed to be applicable now. So either we need to back the whole thing down or stop suggesting to the American people, constitutionally speaking, that you can decide, well, we're not ready for this one yet, so just wait for a year for that. I mean, who's in charge? Is the Congress that passed this, or can the president just do what he wants when he wants?
Well, it makes you wonder if it really was a good idea. Why would you ever want to delay it? Of course, there's the realization that it's not a good idea and it's not going to work, and so pushing it back has been the only thing that they can do. The reality is setting in, I think, even for those in high places in Washington, D.C., that they're meddling within the healthcare market can only damage it, and we're seeing it damage real people's lives. We're seeing people lose their jobs as a result of this, people getting knocked back, getting decent hours, and it's a part-time employment, getting put back in their hours just so that the companies can comply to the Obamacare regulations.
Colin Gunn, my guest. He's the director of a new documentary called Wait Till It's Free on Obamacare and socialized medicine overall, coming out next year. Go to WTIFree.com to learn more. We'll talk to Randy from Richardson up next. Members of the Tea Party gathered outside the White House to demand President Obama's impeachment. The president said he appreciated their views, and he's setting up a new website where they can voice their opinion. Thank you, Conan O'Brien, for that. I'm Adam McManus on the Chris Crock Show. News Talk 820 WBAP. Coming up at 9, we'll talk to Lisa Fritz. She is an African-American conservative, pro-life, pro-Second Amendment, in favor of lower taxes, and she's running for Texas governor against Greg Abbott, Tom Pauken, and some others. 10 p.m., Bill Potter will join me from the American History Guild with the truth about Thanksgiving and who the Pilgrims were really thankful to. And it wasn't the Indians, primarily. It was God. And at 11:30, Stephanie Cohn, author of a new book, Grandma's Moving In. She's a 30-year-old author from Comfort, Texas. My guest since the top of the broadcast, Colin Gunn. He is the producer of a new documentary coming out next year called Wait Till It's Free, about Obamacare and socialized medicine. But first, let's take a call from Randy from Richardson. Randy, I understand you've gotten some bad news.
No, this is just the way it is. And what?
Well, the way it is bad news, right?
Yes. This is, you've heard of Cadillac plans. Well,
right.
At work, this is what I call the Model T plan. Because,
well put.
As Henry Ford said, you can have any color as long as it's black. Well, we had 3 plans. They killed one plan, and they said, we're going to kill another plan, so that will give me a choice of 1.
Well, wait a minute. Barack Obama, let's listen to cut 1, Bill. This is what Barack Obama had to say.
We're going to continue to make progress on all those fronts, and yes, we are going to continue to implement the health care law. The product is good. People want it.
People want it. Randy, you must be mistaken. You want it. This product is good. It's not a Model T. It's a Cadillac.
Oh, well, no. It's actually doubled in price for the same coverage with the higher deductible, and now my prescriptions will be full price until I hit my deductible.
I'm glad you brought this up, the issue of price. Barack Obama says you're wrong. Let's listen to cut 3 about costs.
And thanks in part to the Affordable Care Act, healthcare costs are growing at the slowest rate in 50 years. Employer-based healthcare costs are growing at about 1/3 the rate of a decade ago. And that means that if the studios here, your employers, aren't having to spend as much on healthcare, that they can hire more folks and reinvest more in the business and come up with those cool technologies that I don't exactly understand how they work, but were really neat to look at.
Now, he's speaking to the Hollywood studios. He's talking about the special effects, obviously, on the silver screen. But, Randy, your president says that the health care costs are lower. You claim differently.
Well, yeah, they're taking twice as much out of my paycheck for this. And my deductible went up. And
are you calling this president a liar?
Yes.
Well, Colin Gunn, that's the kind of response that people are having all across America, isn't it?
Yeah, and they shouldn't be surprised. We've been working on this film for over a year now, and we've researched it thoroughly. We've traveled across America, and we went to Europe to deal with the issue of socialized medicine. First, it's not a surprise that they can't deliver on this. You know, the healthcare market is extremely complicated. It's a fifth of the economy, and, you know, to imagine that a government could handle managing a fifth of the economy it shows that it's just some extreme hubris on the part of the president and some arrogance. And so they're trying to deliver these promises, which were utopian ideas, as socialism always is. It's always based on some, you know, great idea that we can deliver something, you know, free or cheap healthcare to people. And of course, the exact opposite has happened, and we're going to see more of it. It's a very, very sad story.
You're listening to the Chris Crock Show here on News Talk 820 WBAP. I'm Adam McManus, and we welcome your calls, your feedback on Obamacare as we talk with Colin Gunn, producer of a documentary coming out early part of next year called Wait Till It's Free, WTIFree.com. Your phone number, if you'd like to dial us up, is 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. We've got about a minute here, Colin, before the bottom of the hour break, and I want to ask you, obviously, you might live in Waco, Texas now with your 8 children and wife, but you're not from there. You actually come from the UK, from Scotland. Did you have conversations with those in the UK about how their socialized medicine is working out there for them?
Absolutely. We have a lot to say on the Nationalised Health Service. We talked to Daniel Hannan, who's a member of the European Parliament, who thoroughly exposes what goes on in the National Health Service. And we only recently, just this week, talked to Patrick Pulicino, who was the whistleblower on the compulsory euthanasia program under the NHS called the Liverpool Care Pathway. So both those stories reveal the depth of depravity and the mess that is socialised medicine in the UK.
It's stuff we've seen and heard about in the Netherlands for years, voluntary and involuntary euthanasia, and that's what Sarah Palin was talking about in terms of the death panels of Obamacare. That's why she blew the whistle on that. Well, we're going to be right back with Colin Gunn of Wait Till It's Free, and how Obama's group, Organizing for Action, wants you to have the talk around the Thanksgiving table. I'm Adam McManus, in for Chris Crock today and Friday night on News Talk 820 WBAP. You can learn more about me at my website, AdamMcManus.net. That's McManus.net. Coming up at the top of the hour, we'll talk to gubernatorial candidate Lisa Fritsch. She is a conservative. She is African American. And she is pro-life, pro-Second Amendment, favor of lower taxes, and believes that she could better go head-to-head with Wendy Davis, the pro-abort Democrat from Fort Worth, than Greg Abbott or Tom Hawkins. So we'll talk with her and take your calls. Plus, at 10 o'clock, we'll learn about the truth of Thanksgiving and who the Pilgrims were thankful to at the very first Thanksgiving by Bill Potter, an historian from American History Guild. And at 11:30, Stephanie Cohn, a young author from Comfort, Texas, 30 years of age, has written a children's book called Grandma's Moving In, about the new trend of, in America anyway, of senior citizen parents moving in with their adult children and grandchildren. We've been talking since the top of the hour, though, with Colin Gunn. He is the producer of a new documentary coming out later, first part of the year of 2014. Wait Till It's Free, WTIFree.com, the website. And want to get his thoughts on what Obama's Organizing for Action has done. They've launched a website with, quote, helpful tips about how to have the talk about Obamacare on Thanksgiving. I mean, as if we want politics to invade the Thanksgiving meal. Here is Barack Obama's Organizing for Action, literally talking about the talk, as if that's not confusing enough. I thought the talk was about the birds and the bees with the young preteens. No, apparently the talk is about Obamacare, and you're literally supposed to ask your neighbors and your friends and relatives to bring their Social Security number, annual salary, have it all there, ready to sign up all the documents. I guess after you have had your second helping of turkey. I cannot imagine having this conversation or having someone as an Obamacare advocate at our Thanksgiving table tomorrow. I'm in town with my bride, Amy. We're staying at her parents' home in Waxahachie, Matt and Deanna Holzer. I can't imagine someone bringing this up around our Thanksgiving table. I think I'd be pretty offended, and I don't think it creates the peace and tranquility you want over a Thanksgiving meal. Let's listen now to the actual role play of how to have the conversation, courtesy of Obama's Organizing for Action. Cut 10.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, sweetie. You almost here?
Yeah, I'll be there in a few.
Good, because we have something really important to talk to you about.
Okay. That's weird. Any hints?
Don't worry about it.
Drive safely.
Bye.
What the heck do they want to talk to me about? So what's so important?
Your dad and I are moving in with you.
Roomies!
No. So what's so important?
We joined a cult.
It's not a cult, it's cult-ish.
It's a cult. We know what you did in Vegas.
We know what you did at Mardi Gras.
We know what you did last summer.
Your mother and I
Have joined a circus. We're
Daft Punk.
I'm a wizard.
I'm just a muggle. I am the one who knocks.
Grandma is a dragon.
We got matching tattoos.
So what did you want to talk to me about?
We know you don't have health insurance.
We love you no matter what, but it's time to get covered.
That's it? Health insurance?
It's important.
I know, and I'll do it. I just thought... Never mind.
Can you believe it? Now, Katrina Trinko of
Not your uncle.
USA Today says, perfect. When your family is curled up in chairs in a turkey, stuffing, pumpkin pie-induced stupor, you can cut off the idle reminiscences of bygone days and football and kids saying the cutest things and launch that super festive healthcare conversation that's sure to have everyone bursting into a rollicking round of kumbaya, despite that pesky little fact that poll after poll shows the country is sharply divided on this issue. Colin Gunn, from Wait Till It's Free, have the folks at the Obama administration and Organizing for Action lost their bloomin' mind?
I think they have. It's funny because I was just watching this week a propaganda video for the National Health Service in the UK when they brought that in the 1940s, and it's very similar to the way they're creating this propaganda about Obamacare. This is good for you, this is essential, this is all what you need. And it really, when I look at Obama trying to be the medic for the whole of the nation, I'm more likely to see him as the snake oil salesman who comes into town and, with the carpet bag trying to sell people this stuff that is absolutely no use to them whatsoever. And eventually I think people are going to see that this is all that this is propaganda for a failing system.
I want you to revisit your conversation with Daniel Hannan. Remind us who he is in the UK and why what he said is important in your film Wait Till It's Free.
Daniel Hannan is a member of the European Parliament. He's an outspoken conservative, and yes, there are conservatives over in Europe, not a lot of them, but they are there and they are speaking out and warning Americans that they should not go down the path towards socialised medicine. He knows because he's in the UK. In fact, I asked him, if you get sick, where would you want to be? And he said, I'd want to be in America. I wouldn't want to be in the UK because he knows what goes on there. Sure, it's a free service supposedly, but it's of course because it's free, it's actually very expensive, it's very inefficient. Of course, what's the result of that? Rationing. People have to wait in line for even the most basic treatments. And our system isn't perfect over here, but we certainly have many things that we do not want to lose, so we have to listen to Daniel Hannan.
The phone number, if you'd like to call us on the Chris Crock Show, I'm Adam McManus here on News Talk 820 WBAP. Your thoughts on Obamacare, pro or con, 800-288 WBAP, 800-288-9227. Here is a clip from Barack Obama, cut 2 from his speech in Hollywood, talking about how kindness covers all of his political beliefs.
I have my critics, obviously. But since we're here in Hollywood, I want to think about something that the late, great Chicago film critic Robert Ebert said. And I was fortunate to get to know Roger Ebert and was always inspired by how he handled some really tough stuff. But kindness, he wrote, covers all of my political beliefs. Kindness covers all of my political beliefs. And when I think about what I'm fighting for, what gets me up every single day, that captures it just about as much as anything. Kindness, empathy, that sense that I have a stake in your success, that I'm going to make sure just because Malia and Sasha are doing well, that's not enough. I want your kids to do well also.
I would say, Colin, and perhaps you'll echo my sentiment as a conservative, yes, I like a policy of kindness, but I don't want to be kind and empathetic at the expense of my neighbor and extra monies that they're going to have to pay in terms of taxes in order to foot the bill, as it were. Kindness between people, neighbors, interpersonally, or if I'm voluntarily giving to the Salvation Army or to Goodwill or to name the organization, that's my call. But when the state with a gun to my head says we're going to take extra taxes so we can kind of spread it around, as it were, that's very different, isn't it?
It's not kindness when the government is involved in it. It's when it's involving redistribution. You collectively point to the fact that it's using force to make it happen. I believe in a form of collectivism like the church, but of course it's always voluntary, where we look after each other's needs. You know, the Good Samaritan principle is where you and I go out and we take care of our responsibilities, but we also take care of other people's needs.
Colin Gunn, my guest. Wait Till It's Free, the name of the film, WTIFree.com. I'm Adam McManus, in for Chris Kroc here on News Talk 820 WBAP. We welcome your calls at 800-288-WBAP.
The Chris Kroc program continues live on WBAP.
It is live indeed on this Wednesday, November 27th. Adam McManus in for Chris, and I'll be here again Friday night from 8 p.m. till midnight. On News Talk 820 WBAP, we welcome your calls on Obamacare. 1-800-288-WBAP, 800-288-WBAP. We're going to talk with Lisa Fritsch, a gubernatorial candidate for Texas at 9, at 10 o'clock. The Truth About Thanksgiving and the Pilgrims from historian Bill Potter. And in the 11 o'clock hour, Stephanie Cohn, a young author from Comfort, Texas, has written a new book for children called Grandma's Moving In, about senior citizens moving in with their adult children and their grandchildren. Colin Gunn has been with me since the top of the hour from Waco, Texas. He doesn't have a Texas accent, however. He is from Scotland, but he is producing a documentary called Wait Till It's Free. Just came back from Europe recently as he's looked into the disaster of socialized medicine over there. The website, if you'd like to learn more about his documentary, WTIFree.com. Jimmy Fallon said it's been a rough couple of weeks for President Obama. It's so bad that a new poll found that Mitt Romney would beat Obama if Americans could vote for president again today. He even asked if there's any way we can have a do-over. Not Romney, Obama. And ain't that the case? Colin, when we talk about one of the aspects of the impact of Obamacare, it's going to result in many senior citizens who will need health care to have a government bureaucrat like a Kathleen Sebelius basically say no. And that's why Sarah Palin was concerned about the so-called death panels. And you learned about the Liverpool Care Pathway, which involved both involuntary and voluntary euthanasia in the UK. Tell us quickly about that. You touched on it briefly before. And what does that mean in terms of Obamacare, and how likely are we to see something like that here?
Well, I'm controversial in stating that I'm for rationing. It's about who does the rationing, you know. So if you get control over your health care, we all ration, we all make choices in how we spend our money. But the big risk, of course, is when someone else has the choices that determine how that money is spent. And of course, with socialism or any nationalized program, it gets misallocated. We know that, but it also begins to serve political interests and begins to serve the system itself. So what happened in the UK is you would take grandma into the hospital where she would have an episode. She would be put on the Liverpool Care program, which was really a form of involuntary euthanasia. Grandma didn't know, the family didn't know, but she was removed from all her medication. medication, put on hard drugs, and basically starve to death over a period of 3 days. And so this is the consequence. That's what rationing is, and it is absolutely inevitable under socialized medical treatment. And this is what we're going to see in America. We're going to see much more of this, and it's worse than the voluntary euthanasia of people deciding to end their life. It's much worse than that, and it happened so much in the UK, so much that so many families are now grieving, knowing that they've lost their loved ones through the NHS. Dr.
Ben Carson, a neurosurgeon from Johns Hopkins and a potential presidential candidate on the horizon, said as a result of Obamacare, people can't go to top hospitals anymore. Cut 6.
Well, the very sad thing here is, for the sake of the 15% of people who didn't have good health insurance, we've turned the whole system upside down. And yes, a lot of people who were used to being able to go to top hospitals won't be able to do so. A lot of people who went to top specialists won't be able to do so. And these are only the early ramifications. There's going to be a lot more things coming up as you go on.
Do you see a possibility, Colin, we've only got about a minute and a half here, of the Congress or the president saying, you know what, it ain't working, it's too broken, we're not going to just delay it, we're going to abandon it? Or do you think this is so tied in with his alleged legacy that he won't let it go?
My fear is they're going to come up with something worse. And, of course, we all know Obama's motives. He has professed it, as have most of the people involved in establishing Obamacare. There is a motive behind the scene here that they do want single payer. So with it failing, I'm not saying it's deliberate, but with it failing, there's a possibility they'll come up with something much worse. Now, I'm happy to see government fail. I think it's inevitable. I think it's good for us. And the good news from all of this is there's a lot going on in the free market that we do have in America, because we still have our liberties here to an extent. And it's amazing we're seeing cash-only hospitals open up, clinics, and doctors who are getting off Medicaid and Medicare and even third-party insurance, and they're able to serve their patients the way they want to without interference from government. So there's good news on the horizon here. So even with government failure, let's try and be optimistic. There is a solution, and it involves a whole barrel load of liberty, and that's what we're going to see.
Ultimately, in your film, Wait Till It's Free, do you talk about solutions?
Absolutely. So their personal responsibility, of course, is a key solution. That's the Good Samaritan principle, where you and I, Adam, are responsible for ourselves, our own bodies, that are responsible towards our families and look after them and make sure they're covered, make sure they're taken care of. That's really what the alternative is. We haven't been responsible there. Look at American health, look at personal health in America even, and we need to go back to that. And so it's personal responsibility, personal fiscal responsibility will be the solution to combating socialism. That's always the case.
Colin Gunn from Waco, Texas, producing Wait Till It's Free, a documentary coming out the first part of next year. Check out the website, WTIFree.com, WTIFree.com.